everyone? X Spartan 1000 here, and we're back with another Star Ocean of Divine Force build video. This time we're going to be talking about Elena. Elena has been a very incredible crowd control character that is doing melee damage, and she has some very incredible potential for breaking parts and just dealing a consistent amount of physical damage to the enemies that she's going to be dealing with. Your main stats you're going to be rushing into is ATK. I would suggest picking up some defense with this character because with her animation Electric Fist, she commits to the move, and you don't want to be glass cannon committing to that move because you will end up getting popped and knocked out of it. Chances are, if you're fighting a group of enemies and one tries to sneak up on you, it won't interrupt the move, but you will take the full damage. So you don't want to just get one shot at because you got flanked. So it's better to be able to finish your combo off, dealing off that great damage while still being defensible. She is all in. She does have some potential for ranged abilities, but typically when she's like at her most destructive, she is close quarters all the way. I do recommend picking up the elemental resistances, as she has some active skills that you can apply to further reduce the damage of those elements. Now, I don't think elements are so bad in this game to where you will never be able to clear anything without, grabbing them. But I would recommend it in general if you're somebody who's going for a decently damage dealing build or just a complete full tank build. In the initial video that we did for Elena, we had her leaning for or more towards the defensive side in the early game, so that in the late game we could just stack as much damage as possible and potentially switch her over if you would like to, because then you would have enough defense on you as well, so you would not have to worry about getting one shot. Because I don't think Elena is meant to necessarily play like an assassin character. However, that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you're going to have to be very careful with the moves you do, because she does have moves where she commits to the animation, and you don't want to get stuck in that and then get one-shotted by a boss or some ass. So, with that being said, we're going to get into her skill paradigm and start showing you what you're going to be looking like. This is how you will want to look for 90 plus. We have her sitting at 96 right now. This will be relevant for now and up to 255. And the reason being is because her main focus is ATK. So you want to grab as many of those as possible, grabbing defense shields along the way, and then picking up as much HP as you can. Guts as well as very good, because if you have Nina with you, she will pocket heal you and it'll allow you to regenerate faster. And if you're using auto healing, that is directly going to affect how much health you're going to be getting back. Again, pick up resistances, especially if you want that extra bit of defense. You could forego some of these elemental points if you want to just go straight into leveling up your moves. That is an option, especially if you're leaning more towards the damage route. You can get these portions of the tree and then just forgo all the resistances and then just buff up Electric Fist, Assassin, or Eliminator, and that would be just fine, and you can come back for this stuff later. These are the active skills that are going to be reducing the damage coming into you. Now, these would only be something you would pick up if you're actually sure that the enemies you're dealing with are going to be using that, because each one will have to be leveled up for it to be very good. Because 45 fire resist is pretty good, considering that you only start off with like 20 and it's giving you 45 across all of them, and that is going to scale up. I don't think this is essential though, and I can't stress that enough. You don't have to grab this, but if you are noticing there's a boss that's giving you a lot of trouble, especially with one element, you can use this to counteract that. Just note that it is going to take 5 AP away from you, so you probably want to have a good bit of AP on you before you consider using any of those. So let's get into the actual moves that we'll be using for this character long term, especially for like late game stuff. Fist of Fury is by far the most effective thing that she has in her kit. Fist of Fury is capable of stunning adds of any size and bosses. I on the very final boss in the game, she can stun him with Fist of Fury, and I suspect she'll be able to do it for the bosses in the late game as well. Um, if they're blindsided, they could honestly be dead by the ending of the combo if you really are rushing her with damage, like double damage accessories plus her best weapons and crafting. I believe you'll be able to take down most ads, especially if they're blindsided with Fist of Fury. Mind you, you can get damage buffs that can go on as you're like laying into people with this entire combo. For her tankier side, this is something you want her to do more often than anything else because she will hold them still for you so you can get off whatever moves you need to do or run away if you just got knocked over and you're low HP. Next, I'd say Eliminator is the second most useful item, and it's because of it's an AoE attack that deals a ridiculous amount of damage to a crowd of enemies and even knocking back a single target. Eliminator costs 5 AP, but I believe it is well worth it because you can actually range a lot of people with this as well. If you ever have any aerial enemies and you're having just a difficult time of hitting them, getting some damage off, Eliminator is a nice alternative instead of using that pistol attack that they start her with. Then another one. I did not grab it during the campaign, but I do think this is well worth the upgrade slot or sorry your SP whenever you are leveling her up. Assassin starts off at 200 damage and does kite around the enemy for you. I think this would be very good for outplaying somebody who's trying to sneak up on you while you're dealing with somebody, or if you're just dueling a boss and trying to get around the attacks that they're doing, especially if it's like the humanoid ones that don't have ridiculous AoEs for the attack. So I would highly recommend picking this up. I will purchase that, but I want to show you some statistic upgrades before acquiring that ability. Going into passive skills briefly before leaving this, you want to grab No Guard, and we want to max No Guard out at some point. You want to max First Aid, and you want to max Auto Healing. These things are going to make her very sustainable. Whether you're a DPS or something that's in between that or a tank, you're going to need something to keep you going, especially when you're committing to animations like Vista Fury. You are going to get hit by something eventually. First aid is nice because you'll get a portion of your health back. Auto healing is always great because it'll keep you going. You can keep fighting. And then No Guard's awesome because eventually you'll be doing the animation where you can get interrupted and you won't. So let's go ahead and show you what strengthening those will look like. So strengthening No Guard up to 10, you will get 32. So you will not flinch from damage less than 32% of your max HP. So that's pretty good. Honestly, I kind of wish it went to 50 because that'd be really nice. You would be basically at your halfway point, not flinching. Now, granted, if you're playing her very well and controlling her, you probably won't get as much use out of No Guard because it's very easy to dodge enemy attack patterns with Duma, so you probably won't see this go off. But if you are dealing with a rough boss that has some AoEs, you'll appreciate No Guard at some point. First Aid returning, so we got 24% chance of recovering 20% of your HP when you're attacked. 20%, pretty sizable chunk that you're getting back. Not to mention, Guts is probably going to affect this as well, and any status ailments that you get from Nina. It makes for a sizable amount of healing to get refunded to you. Elena's HP goes insanely high, so this is pretty nice. Auto healing is another just all around good thing to have for sustained fighters. You want to have something that can keep you going, so you don't always have to either go through your items or be super pressed for Nina to come by and give you a heal. But honestly, if Nina does give you a heal, auto healing, it will be healing on top of the the tingling chimes that you're getting as well. So you'll be doubling up. For combat skills, I'd recommend maxing Fist of Fury first, mainly for the CC that it provides. It only costs 3 AP, I might add as well, which is it's a steal. Yeah, it's 3 AP for a very long animation that can stun bosses and ads in the same manner. Like they're not gonna get out of it. Usually once they're caught in it, they're gonna like eat every blow, and then they'll be able to move. So highly recommend getting that. Gets the 321 attack damage. That's pretty sweet. Eliminator, I would say, would be a very good second, if not assassin. Um, Eliminator potentially scaling up to around 261, maybe getting to 290, maybe 280 damage. Eliminator is nice for breaking up crowds of enemies, or if you have enemies clustered up together. It's also very great for enemies like the phoenixes that you fight in the game. Those birds, you can just you can hit them from the ground with this. Eliminator is also very good for one-shotting enemies that are blindsided. So if you're dealing with somebody on another side of the battlefield, but you turn and see somebody's blindsided, you can quickly eliminate them, and they're just gone, deleted. Next after Eliminator is Assassin, so I'll go ahead and purchase that one off the skill tree. Because this one is very good for dueling, and it'll allow for some outplay potential while you are fighting enemies. And it's dealing he's got that base of 200 damage, so going up to 294, potentially higher because you have this does go to level 10. I just don't have the SP on me at the time, but this can go to, it's looking like around like 315, possibly 320, which is some pretty good damage, and I suspect this will be very good for breaking pieces off of enemies as well. You won't have to use Duma as much if you have Assassin equipped. This is a very good ability spell. I had someone in a previous video telling me that they love this move in addition to Eliminator and Fist of Fury, and I wholeheartedly agree. Pick up Assassin, and it'll help you save some of the gauge that they're using for Duma to get around to damaging enemies in their backside and potentially breaking parts off of them. Next, for the combos, the way I like to, one combo I like to have her set up with, whether you're going for a tank or just in a barrage of attacks where the enemy can't really respond, is Fist of Fury. If you are to blindside them and go into a Fist of Fury, they have to eat it. And then if they happen to get out of the blindside by the time the first Fist of Fury is over, you can pop another one, and they'll be stuck in that one, and then you'll probably finish them off with the third one. And if you're not controlling her, this is a nice way to set her up because she'll be able to provide a whole bunch of crowd control for you, especially on a boss. They will have to sit through quite a lot of punches of the Fist of Fury, and they'll be stuck in all that animation. So you'll be able to get whatever moves you need to get off onto the battlefield. Another combo I recommend having her do, or you do, is starting off with Eliminator. Because I don't think you want to wait too long. I'm not a fan of having the best part of the combo at the end of the combo, because then you have to make sure you're managing your AP very well enough to get to the end of the combo, and God forbid you get interrupted, because then you'll have to start the combo over at the current AP that you have. So start with Eliminator so you can break up a crowd of enemies, and then, because you can shotgun this too, you can get in the enemy's face and eliminate them, as she's showing in the bottom right corner. Dispersing a group of people, very good for ranged targets like the harpies or any sort of bird or avian-like creature. Definitely grab Eliminator. I think Tamer is still something that you could get some mileage out of as well, especially if you're going for an AoE spam combo. Like there's just a bunch of people around, you can Eliminator going into a Tamer because it only requires 2 HP, hitting people in a AoE around you, and then finishing off with a Bullet Hunter to hit anybody else who's potentially trying to sneak up on you or still be in your midst while knocking them back. For a lighter combo attack, you could just do Gladiator and then clip into a Lancer and then go Fist of Fury again. Gladiator and Lancer are practically the same animation, so it's very seamless to do both of these back to back and then go into Fist of Fury. She just cuts the animation out and goes straight into it. But honestly, with having Assassin put in, you could definitely start off with Assassin as well if you really want to get that damage off early on, and then go into perhaps Gladiator next, and then into Fist of Fury. Because Gladiator kind of has a almost like a stun or interruption element, kind of like how Raymond's, I believe, his payback strike is. It's crispy where it can like interrupt the animation they're doing because hers is so swift and fast. It's not long winded at all, so that could be a good follow up for you. And then for the hold buttons, honestly, it's whatever you would like to jump into immediately. Like I said, starting with an eliminator or having an eliminator on a hold move would be a good idea. Having Fist of Fury on a hold move is a good idea, or Assassin, or just have those start the combos. That's how you would. That's how you ought to run that. There's not too many active skills you would have applied because most of her or all of her active skills come in the form of elemental resistance. So honestly, if you do run those, you probably want to put those on the hold buttons to make sure that you can get into those very fast. As for equipment, if you're looking for farming out enemies pretty quickly, and we're talking like items you're buying from the stores from late game, Berserker Bangle being better than the Scarf of Rage, I highly recommend using that. Because it'll give you a good form of physical damage, because that is her main damage stat that you'll be taking advantage of. And then if you don't want to, you can also go a tankier route and have the defensive bangle that I had on previously and for the most part of the stream, having her defense sit very, very high, which was very useful in the final boss and just the later half of the game. She was just not dying anymore, hovering at 2099 defense, which was pretty crazy. Honestly, the only way she was going down was if the boss was hard focusing her and she wasn't able to get Electric Fist off. Um, but that's pretty much how you would set up Elena for the late game. Whether you're going a tank build, a DPS build, or something in between. Honestly, that flavoring kind of comes more so from your items, because once you start to level up into the high 200s, you're going to have enough SP to buy the damage from the paradigm as well as the defensive portions. How you start off, honestly, I think if you go ATK over grabbing defense, you'll be fine. And same thing if you go defense over ATK. Personally, I know she has to commit to long animations. That's why I gave her uh, more defense in the early game, because I knew I had a whole bunch of high damage dealers outside of her, so I wasn't too pressed about the damage. But in the late game, she does have some crazy potential for damage. So this will be more of a hybrid sort of tank slash DPS build for Elena, because you can definitely deal some incredible damage with it. But if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment what you thought down below, subscribe if you're new. There will be more Star Ocean videos on the way, and I will catch you guys in the next video.